the only thing I know about Fonzie is the time that I spent playing with him, because I wasn't in the circle, that he run with. I'm talking about not when he wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was another guy. What did you call him? Rick Lee's daddy.
Yeah.
Rick Lee's daddy was Carl Lee, and he played steel, and he worked at the same station at WGNO that Fonzie did at the same time. And he did play some steel with Fonzie some. Now I don't know. He may have played just the shows that he done on the radio, since they were both there.
Yeah.
But I don't know about him playing any dates like nightclubs or auditoriums or schoolhouses and stuff like that.
How did you get in Fonzie's band? How did he find you or decide he wanted you in the band?
Well, the only thing I can remember is Dean Perkins was playing steel with him, and Dean quit Fonzie's band and started playing with Ray Smith, which Ray Smith had a pretty good following around here too. In fact, he moved to Canada and stayed up there until he come back. He passed away here. But when Dean left playing with Fonzie, and that was mostly radio shows that they'd done over there where Fonzie worked. And then I got, I don't even know how I got acquainted with Fonzie really, but I just remember starting playing with him, and of course we played everything, picnics and nightclubs, and not very many nightclubs, but a lot of show dates like picnics and auditoriums, school auditoriums and things like that. And that's the way that I actually got started playing with him. Now, of course, the other guys that was in the picture, I'd played with them before, Fonzie,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew them a whole lot longer than I did Fonzie, actually knowing them. And I played with them, for quite a while. And, of course, I played with a lot of different bands and a lot of different people. All local stuff, mostly local. The guitar player in the picture, the little fat guy,
Mm-hmm.
over on the left next to the drummer. Now, he lived in Mayfield, and him and Fonzie, were good friends. And it's a possibility because he actually played in the band that I was playing with before he was playing with Fonzie. And his name was, of course, Bub McLean. They call him Bubba, but it's Bub McLean. And he lived in Mayfield. So that's a possibility that, that he might have recommended me, when Fonzie needed a steel player.
Now, in that picture, you look real young.
Well, I wish I still did.
But how old were you when you started playing?
Well, of course, now, that was in the 50s. I come out of the Navy. I was in the Navy in 44, 45, and 46. And I got discharged from the Navy and started playing locally around here and with a couple of guys that I knew.
When you performed with Fonzie and you were performing at a picnic or at a school auditorium or something like that, how was he as an entertainer and how did the audience react to him?
Oh, they just all just ate him up, in other words. I mean, he was such an entertainer. He wasn't really that good a singer, but he could sell anything he sung, and he just had a knack for, selling. It's kind of like a salesman being able to sell Eskimo or a refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
But he just went over. Everybody liked him. I mean, And I never heard him say one bad word about anything or about anybody. I never heard him downgrade any musician or anybody he knew that I ever heard of. He was just one of the kindest guys that you'd actually want to play with. You know, some of the guys you play with, you don't think that much of them because some of them are pretty rowdy. And of course, and I don't think I'm not saying that he didn't drink. If he did, I didn't know it. If he ever drank, he didn't do it. When I was around it. And I'm not sure about, he might have drank beer, he might not have. I can't say for sure, but I can say I never saw him drink any.
Yeah. So he was just a stand-up guy that you liked being around.
Oh, yeah, he's a guy you'd want for a friend.
Yeah. And I've heard that he helped Paul Yandell's career,
Oh, yeah. He was instrumental in getting Paul a job with the Leuven brothers.
And
I know he had either the Leuven brothers or Fonzie made a joke about Paul. Said he's the only guitar player he knew that could change clothes in a shotgun barrel. I thought that's kind of stretching it a little, but he was kind of a entertainer, comedian type entertainer. He was funny, but it was never no vulgar stuff or anything like that.
Did you ever hear him on the radio or hear his radio?
Oh yeah.
What was that like? I'm really curious of what he did on the radio. What did he do?
Oh, he was just one of them down to earth guys that he's somebody you'd listen to where normally you wouldn't, because he didn't, whatever he said, he made sense, and he was always upbeat about everything. That's one reason he stayed there so long at WNGO. Of course, I don't know anything about. Well, I think he was still working there when he passed away.
Well, getting back to Fonzie on the radio, did he tell stories or did he tell jokes or what did he do? He did a lot of live commercials too, didn't he?
Oh yeah. He was just all around first class in what he done. That's the reason everybody liked him.
Yeah.
You hear some people on the radio that you just despise them because you don't like the way they sound, but he just had a voice that just seemed like it. But he's the type of guy like a guy that you look forward to listening to his part of the show.
Yeah.
But he was an entertainer out of this world, and I just it's no telling how far he could have went if he lived. Because he wasn't really that old when he passed away.
Yeah, he was like 41 or 42.
He could have very well been a front man for any big star. I mean, as far as opening up.
Now, when you started playing with Fonzie, did you guys rehearse before a performance, or how did you all get on the same page? Did you know all these songs that he did, or did you have to kind of practice
Well,
them?
I just learned them while we were playing, because he'd just say, we're going to sing so and so, and we just tell him, okay, sing the first line.
It's almost like jamming. You're just picking it up.
Just tell him you go ahead and sing it. We'll just pick it up behind it, because the guys I was playing with, the drummer and the guitar player and the rhythm guitar players in the picture, they were good musicians, and they didn't have to have no, nothing to show them what to do. They just listened to the song, and it's kind of like I was. I just listened to it and just pick it up and play it. But a lot of the songs that he sang, we already knew. But every once in a while he'd come up with one, you know, that we weren't familiar with. But he would play mostly the older songs, like kind of like the ones he played on the radio when he was doing his disc jockey show.
Right. Did you ever do Mule Train?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was one of his favorites.
Yeah, I understand he really got animated.
Oh yeah. People just eat it up.
Yeah. His hair would get all messed up. And
Yeah, of course. You know, in the case of the musicians, all you had to do just sit back there and watch him. And especially unless the guy was playing a rhythm. But the guys, you know, like steel player, lead player, and that mule train, you ain't got nothing to do except watch. But yeah, that was one of his favorites, man.
And how did the audiences react when he played Mule
Oh, they eat him up. It just, you know, well, it's just like a big star, you know, man. They just clout and carry on, and I just like I said, he was just an entertainer and exceptional at it too. I played with guys that, you know, were good entertainers and good singers, but I've never played with anybody that could go over with a crowd like he could.
Yeah.
And but he never vulgar, never got out of line or nothing. Didn't tell no dirty jokes or anything like that. But he was a really decent fellow.
How did you meet Paul Yandell?
When he was playing with Fonzie.
Okay.
Of course, now Paul lived in Simpsonia, and I had a friend, was kind of my wife's cousin. He played music, and he played some with Paul too. And of course, I played with him some, but I didn't play with Paul until I got with Fonzie. But I played with the friend I was talking about that grew up with Paul Yandell.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a dobro player, what I'm talking about. But him and his brother they were the kind of a duet to sing together. And
how long did you play with Paul Yandell? How long was he?
Well, you know, now I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure, but it was a little while, you know, before he got hooked up with the Lewin brothers. Mm-hmm. It was a little while, but I'm not sure about you know, how long it was.
Were you surprised by his success, or did you think early on that this guy had it?
Who, Paul?
Paul, yeah.
No, I wasn't surprised because he was a good guitar player when he was playing with Fonzie. Now, he played Chet Atkins song. And when he got to Nashville, of course, he ended up being Chet Atkins' right-hand man. And he was until Chet died. And then if you ever notice, if you ever see any videos of Chet Atkins playing, in most cases, if he's just playing with a regular band, you'll see Paul Yandell sitting down behind him, playing the guitar behind him. Mm-hmm. I've seen it many times on TV, and when they show Chet Atkins playing some kind of a instrumental or something, Paul would be sitting there behind him, playing the guitar, playing a rhythm guitar, and Paul. And most people probably won't agree with me, but Paul could play Chet Atkins stuff as good as Chet Atkins could.
Wow.
It's unbelievable how good he was.
What's your fondest memory of Fonzy Davis? What do you, when you think of Fonzy, what do you remember?
Oh God, I don't know. It was all basically everything's about the same when we played. It's just knowing him.
Just the kind of guy you want to know.
Yeah, and being around him.
Yeah.
He was just that type of guy. And I still believe he had a good following, and if he'd lived, I still believe he would really done better because he just had the ability to do what was needed to go up the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just a good guy to be around, and some people you don't like to be around, even if you're playing with them, you don't like them. But sometimes it comes down to the money part of it. If you play with somebody you don't like, but you get paid for it, but you'd play with him for nothing. But now the guy that is in the picture with us is playing the lead guitar, Bill Waltney. Now he was a car salesman in Cairo, Illinois, and there was a music store, electronics store, music store. A guy named Ray Butts was the owner and played accordion. Now he played accordion with us. The guy I'm talking about had the music store, played accordion with us in the nightclubs. But he's the one that invented that pickup that Gretsch Company took the patent on. It's got a double row of, you've probably seen some of them pickups with a double row of set screws. Ray Butts built those first and built them for Chet Atkins. And he built one for this Bill Walton in this picture. And Chet Atkins is the one that pits the pickups Gretsch Company. And when, of course, Gretsch, I guess, bought the patent to them because they started putting it on their guitars, the pickup. But Ray Butts built it. At the time, he was still playing with us. Now, that's when he built the pickups. But he built a echo amplifier. Back then, there wasn't no digital echoes, like we got now. And he built an echo amplifier, and it was about that wide and about that tall, and it had some type of a tape system, and it would, when you played, it would record it and then play it back.
Oh yeah.
And he played. The first one he built, this Bill Walton, that played with us with Fonzie. Bill Walton, he got the first one he built, and then he built one for Chet Atkins. And it was somebody else that was, I can't remember who the other is, a well-known storm, well-known entertainer. I can't remember who it was that had him to build one. I believe, if I ain't wrong, I believe he built one for Elvis Presley's guitar player. Mm. Now, it's either that or Johnny Cash's, but I believe it was Elvis Presley's guitar player. And from then on, then he didn't really build a whole lot of them, but he built enough of them that they took off the patent and started building them. And he moved to Nashville. I'm talking about Ray Butts, the one that done the build the pickups and amplifiers. He moved to Nashville and went to work with Chet Atkins in recording sessions or recording studios. Now, I don't know what he done there, but that's where he got in with Chet Atkins and the Gretsch Company and all that. But now he's the one that played accordion with us when he had the music store over here. And he was really a knowledgeable guy. I mean, he's really, smart when it comes to electronics, and played pretty good accordion too. But it's people like that, that over the years I got associated with. Mm-hmm. So, I played with so many different people. I played on the road with Jim up in Honey out of Nashville, and we were traveling everywhere, and just seemed like it. And back then they didn't have these big buses like they got now. We traveled in a funeral car, a big Packard funeral car, 7-seater, a big long. And we traveled everywhere in that thing there, and
Your
but as
recollection.
far as Fonzie, I never played it with a guy that was more decent than him, and I played with a lot of people too. But I never played with anybody that that I thought more of as far as a human being.
That's quite a